So the other day, I heard a crazy tale regarding that certain nameless person with sources connected to them reaching out to media outlets. And if those media outlets, they didn't report something that was friendly toward that nameless person, then they were fed something that was utterly false. That's one of many reasons why I wanted to reach out to people that would indeed be in the know, finding out whether or not JD had indeed been contacted by Disney, if there was anything about blacklists that had been noted. And beyond that, I wanted to know if there was any legitimacy to this statement at all, where the new reboot that had been talked about for Pirates of the Caribbean, it had actually been sidelined pending a salary negotiation with JD, saying that JD, he was actually going to return at least in some type of cameo to Pirates of the Caribbean. So you and I, we're going to dissect this just like we were back in high school science class. Baby, get your science on. Fun times, huh? Fun times indeed. So hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day, by the way. If you would, share this video everywhere. I'm sure there's going to be more coverage of this. A lot of places, they're going to get it wrong. So if you would, help set this record straight. Also, feed that pesky algorithm. Likes, comments, it loves your attention. If you're subbed to the channel, make sure you're still subbed. If you hadn't, well, you don't have to, but those shiny buttons. Now, as far as this article is concerned, there are some major issues as far as everything goes, and there are minor issues to boot, and we're going to take all of those and we're going to look at them here. For example, this starts out saying a source close to Disney claims that JD is not on a blacklist and may actually return as Jack Sparrow for Pirates of the Caribbean. He wasn't fired. Disney and JD's relationship is still reportedly strong, and the actor may even reprise his role one last time as charming Captain Jack Sparrow for the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. See, what their source is claiming is that everything was predicated on a paycheck. It wasn't about what that nameless person had to say. It wasn't about them going on a campaign trying to absolutely ruin someone. No, quote, it was all came down to money. Disney weren't happy that nearly a quarter of their movie's budget was JD's paycheck, even though they made bank in the box office. They wanted to see if they could replicate the success using lesser-known actors with a much smaller budget. Now, right from go, that should have set off warning bells for the person or the place putting together this article. Why? Because that would undermine the entirety of what's going on in the Virginia case. See, JD is saying that that person there, they're the reason I lost my job. What they put into a Washington Post article, and you can see in Disney's own words what the game plan has been. More importantly, this is again from Disney's statement, that nameless person's previous counsel stated to Disney's counsel that they did not want or expect all documents in Disney's possession. During negotiations over the scope of the subpoena, it became clear that their strategy was to show that Disney did not have documents showing a linkage between that nameless person's public statements and JD's career, so as to minimize her damages. You know, again, she didn't cause this. The firing, it was over something else, like I don't know, about contracts and money. Now, what's even crazier is how their source gets to this, and that's why I brought up disinformation at the beginning, because this stuff here, it admits a wrongdoing. It talks about Disney receiving over a dozen emails from that nameless person's associates who worked in the press, demanding that immediately they needed to denounce JD and bring to light, well, you know exactly what claims were out there. They go further, too. They say these emails, they come from major publications, and we've seen a lot of the major publications that were essentially going to war with this man's career, and were often sent with a forward from prolific unions. So you don't just have that major publication, you have a lot of other groups chained into it, basically threatening something there. The company felt obliged to respond and did so without taking a stance on the situation. So they did give a response to this. They supposedly didn't give a stance, but well, when you look at the action, wasn't that taking a stance in itself? What's more is this source, they minimize minimize the reaction of Disney coming out and making any type of statement at all. I mean, Disney, for example, when you think about the Gina Carano affair, they never made any type of statement. In this, they did make a statement. That statement, it doesn't directly point a finger, but look at what they're doing here. And with a franchise that's made them $13 billion, that's billion with a B, and counting. We want to bring in new energy and vitality. I love the Pirates movies, but part of the reason these writers here are so interesting is that we want to give it a kick in the pants. And that's what I've tasked them with. Now, what's even crazier about what their source is saying is that they're saying this statement here, this was taken out of context, as it were. They looked at it and they thought this was confirmation and validation enough to run stories about how JD's career was ending, and the timing itself was perfect. But you know what? There were already plans in motion, and those plans, they didn't involve anything like this. Here's the thing, though. You remember that court document that talked about strategy? Well, apparently that nameless person didn't find what they wanted. Apparently there wasn't something where they could pin the blame on Disney. They decided they wanted everything after that. And if they didn't get everything, they threatened sanctions. They threatened to sue Disney, essentially saying, there was nothing in Disney's internal memos that suggested this from start. Then we get to this here. I'm going to read the statement and then I'll tell you what I found out about it. So JD has been contacted to see if he'd be interested in, at the very least, making a cameo in the reboot. That alone proves he isn't on the blacklist. I've even heard that the Hodson reboot, that would be the Harley Quinn screenwriter reboot, has been sidelined pending salary negotiations with JD, and the team is very optimistic that it'll return in some form to the franchise at least one more time. Now, as far as all of this is concerned, when I read it, I wanted to know whether there was any truth to it whatsoever, so I reached out to sources in the know, and you know what they told me about it? They told me no. None of this stuff is right whatsoever. Disney, they haven't even reached out to JD since all of this transpired. I mean, if you want a real lesson about how Disney is, look at this here. They mention Sea of Thieves, Pirate's Life, being a good indication that the Mouse House isn't ready to say farewell to the character Captain Jack Sparrow, and that's true. The only thing is, they own the likeness there. They don't have to pay anyone else, so they didn't even contact JD. They didn't tell him this game was coming up at all, and he didn't get anything from it. With movies, they would have to do something else. And you know what? They haven't tried to do that at all. And as far as the publication here is concerned, I don't necessarily blame them yet. I wonder, that source, like I said at the beginning, there are people feeding flagrant disinformation out there. I wonder if this is part of it. I guess we'll probably find out when I put the video out here. But yeah, let me know what you think about all of this stuff. As always, too, appreciate the heck out of you. I hate bringing you bad news, but still, I want this stuff to be truthful. And yeah, I appreciate you helping the channel out. If you want to help out the channel in different ways, too, there are links in the description. You can check all of those there. They do help out, too, so thank you. But you being here, that helps, so thank you. I appreciate you sincerely, and we will see you soon.